Hi guys, how you doing? Hoping you're doing well and welcome to Lynn's Corner. So in today's video, I'll be talking about grief. So I'll take you through what is grief, the stages of the grieving process, signs that you're not dealing with your grief, and also how to deal with your grief. So stay tuned up to the end of the video to learn more on everything that I will talk about. Also remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. You can also follow me on all social media platforms at Nyokafi_Nyokafi. And let's get right into the video. So my name is Lynn. I am a counseling psychology student at Kenya Methodist University, and you're very welcome here at Lynn's Corner. And let's get right into the video. So what is grief? It's a natural response to loss. It's the emotional suffering you have or you feel when something or someone you love is taken away from you. Often the pain can feel overwhelming, and one may experience all kinds of difficult and unexpected emotions, from shock or anger to disbelief, guilt, or profound sadness. So what am I trying to say? It's that grief it's this kind of pain you feel like you should even take out your chest and put it away and watch it as the level of pain goes down, because you feel that you're in so much pain. Yeah, that's why I've said it's an emotional suffering you feel when something or someone you love is taken away from you. The reason as to why I have said something is that you may find that some people, and most people in fact, experience grief when it doesn't necessarily have to be someone they loved. It can be something. You can be so attached to a particular non-living object that when it's taken away from you, you experience grief. Yeah, so that is why I have included something in my definition. So any loss can cause grief, but the more significant the loss, the more intense the grief. So what I'm saying is that any loss, no matter how insignificant it may be, it can cause you to grieve. What happens is that you will not grieve for a long time. You may not even notice that you are grieving, yeah? But when the loss is significant and you are so attached to this person or you are so attached to this object, you feel that intense grief. You feel like your chest is being ripped out. You feel like it's like unadunga knives uko ndani, yeah? You feel so much pain, and that is what is the intense grief. There's so much emotional suffering. You feel so much pain in your chest. You feel even your chest is heavy. You might even get sick because of how intense the grief is. So examples of losses that cause grief are death. It may be death of a person who was close to you, death of a parent, death of a spouse, death of a child. Yeah, so death. Another one is miscarriage. That one is in the same line with death. Divorce or a relationship breakup, losing a job, losing a friendship. Like, this one is so underrated. People grieve. In fact, I grieve when I lose friends. Probably I was so attached to this friendship, and then suddenly the friendship is no more. You may find yourself grieving. Another one is loss of personal stuff. Yeah, in loss of personal stuff, probably your phone. Like nowadays, people are so attached to their phones. So when you find that probably you've lost your phone, it may send you to a grieving process because you are so attached to your phone. Yeah, so personal stuff, it doesn't have to be your phone. It can be anything personal. So when you lose it, it sends you to grieving. It makes you grieve because you've lost that personal object that probably you are attached to. Another one is moving away from home. This may be a home that you've lived for since your childhood, and then suddenly probably your parents have changed jobs, or you're the one who's grown up now, you have to move out of your house. It may make you grieve because you're like, oh my god, in all my life I've grown up here. This is the neighborhood I've known since I was a child. Now, moving out of that neighborhood can make you grieve. You'll not necessarily notice that you are grieving, or you might, depending on how attached, again, that you are to your neighborhood. So if you are so attached, you may feel like, oh my God, sitaki kutoka home. Yeah, this is where you find like children who are in boarding school, they cry when they're going back to school because they are so attached to being in that familiar home environment. Yeah, or children who study far away places from home, you find they have this emotional suffering. They don't necessarily have to cry again, but some of them cry because, you know, they're still a child. They don't know how to contain their emotions, so they cry. But others don't cry, but they have that feeling, yeah, unasikia vibaya unarudi shule, and when you're asked mbona unasikia vibaya, you can't like say where you're feeling bad. It's that attachment with your home neighborhood, with that familiar home area. And another one is changing jobs. This happens especially when you had worked in a place for a long time and the work environment was conducive. So like your bosses were nice, your colleagues were nice, then suddenly you have to change jobs, especially when you've not been fired. Probably you're doing this for your personal growth because you're saying like, as a person, I have worked here, imetosha sasa, I need to grow and I cannot grow in this environment, you know. Such a scenario may cause you to grieve because you're not moving, you're not changing jobs necessarily because you want to, because, you know, change is not something that you want to happen. We just don't want to stay in that comfort zone. But when you're pushing yourself out of the comfort zone, leading you to change your job, you might find yourself grieving and be like, awa tu your personal growth ikae, acha tu nikae hapa. Yeah? So those are examples of losses that cause grief. So what are the stages of the grieving process? These stages are by a psychologist called Kubler-Ross. And before I share the stages with you, I want to put out a disclaimer that the stages are not linear. They are 5 stages, but they are not linear in the sense of you can move from stage 1 to stage 2 and 3 in a linear progress. But then something triggers you and you find yourself you've gone back to stage 1. It does, or you had probably even gone to stage 5 and you thought that, no, I think I am okay. But then something little triggers you and you find yourself back in stage 1 again. So grieving process is not linear. Yeah. It's not like a staircase where you go from staircase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's a process. It's life, and because it's life, that is why it cannot be linear, because life is not linear in itself. So you may find yourself, you are from stage 1 to 3, then you're back to stage 1 again, then from stage 1 you jump stage 2, you find yourself in stage 4. Yeah, so it's not linear. The 5 stages are denial and shock. The second one is anger. The third one is bargaining. The fourth one is depression and testing. And the fifth one is acceptance. So let me elaborate them in detail. So denial and shock. Let's take an example where you are in this relationship for a long time. You are in this relationship for like 2 years. You've been dating this person for 2 years of your life. Then suddenly the person feels like there's no growth between me and Lynn. Let me use myself. There's no growth between me and Lynn. So for growth to happen in my life, I have to leave Lynn and go ahead with my life. So this person has not cheated on you. This relationship is not ending because it was a toxic relationship. It's not ending because any of the partners have cheated. It's happening because growth has to happen, and one of the partners is feeling like, I cannot continue this together with this person. I cannot continue this with Lynn. So what happens? Lynn will be left in denial. You are like, I gave you 2 years of my life, 2 whole years of my life, and then now there is no relationship anymore. So you will be in denial. Lynn will be in denial. Place yourself in Lynn's shoes. You will be in denial. You cannot just act in denial and shock, because it will be difficult to accept that 2 years, it's now when you're noticing that there's no growth between us. There's no growth in your life when you are with me. Yeah. So the first stage will be denial. After Lynn gets through the stage of denial, what will happen next? She will be angry. She will be angry at herself and angry at the other person, because she'll be like, 2 whole years, you have wasted my 2 years out of nothing. Then it has not even bought anything. Now you have left me. So after going through the anger stage, you're angry at the person, you're angry at the situation, you're even angry at yourself. And this may even happen in death situations. You find that you're angry at death itself, you're angry at the person for accepting to die, and you're so angry at yourself because mono you are look for me in kabaki. Yeah. So the next stage will be bargaining. In bargaining, you're trying to bargain with the situation. You're like, in as much as nimeachwa, in as much as the relationship has ended, in as much as probably death has happened, life has to move on. So you're bargaining with yourself to accept the situation. And you also probably, if it's in a relationship stage, if it's in a relationship scenario, this is where you find you're bargaining with the person to like take you back. And maybe they take you back and then your grieving process ends. And if they don't take you back, no, this one can lead you into depression, because depression, which is the fourth stage, comes about because you feel like you've lost all control in the situation, whatever your situation was. You feel like, I've lost control in this relationship, I cannot control that, I cannot control one, two, whatever is making you grieve. So you fall into depression because you feel like there is no hope anymore and I do not have the control over this anymore. So as you are also in the depression stage, some people will fall into depression and some people will start testing out how life will be after now this person is no longer a significant part of your life, or this object is no longer in your presence, in your life. So you start testing out how life will be. So while some people are falling into depression, others will be testing how life will be without this person, without this object, without this job, without being at home, whatever is causing you to grieve, whatever your loss was. So you either fall into depression or you start testing out life without whatever. And now after depression or after testing out, you come to an acceptance. You accept that me and Fulani, we are no longer dating. Fulani has their own life and now I have my own life, and this life has to move on. This life has to move on even after losing my job. This life has to move on even after changing my job. This life has to move on even after the death of my significant other, So you move on with life, you accept. Not that you have forgotten them. No, you just accept that life has to move on, because I cannot kill myself because I've lost whatever I've lost. Yeah. So life moves on. You accept. So those are the stages of grief. The stages were denial and shock, anger, bargaining, depression and testing, and acceptance is the last stage. My next topic will be signs that you are not dealing with your grief or your loss. And the number one sign is that you are engaging in compulsive behaviors. Compulsive behaviors being like you're binge eating, you're binge drinking. Binge eating and binge drinking means overeating or over drinking. Yeah. You are not a food person, then all of a sudden wewe ni mtu wa food every time. You are not doing drugs and alcohol, then all of a sudden you're the one who knows when the bar is being opened. Yeah, you're the one who knows when the liquor store is being opened. You're the one who knows that given alcohol, its price has hiked. Yeah, so you are engaging in compulsive behaviors. You do not necessarily have to be overeating or over drinking. Other people may start overspending. Like you find that this person is forever shopping, whether it's online shopping or physical shopping. They're just spending every time, every minute. They're dealing with their grief by overspending. Yeah, so that is a number one sign that you're not dealing with your grief or your loss. Another sign is withdrawal from relationship. You find that you no longer want to be friends with anyone. You just want to be in your own cocoon. You just want to be in your own space. Not that that is bad, but being that you're totally withdrawing from relationships and people, That one is a warning sign that you should look out for. Another sign is overfunctioning. You find that you are avoiding to deal with your grief, you're avoiding to deal with your loss by pretending that everything is fine. You find that you're supposed to leave your work at 5 p.m. but you're the person leaving the office, the last one, at 8 p.m. because you don't want to leave, you don't want to deal with your issues. You don't want to go home and remember that I lost my phone. You don't want to go home and remember that Fulani broke up with me. You don't want to go home and deal with whatever you're supposed to be dealing with. So instead of doing that, you start overfunctioning in other areas of your life. That one is a warning sign that you should look out for, because it shows that you are not dealing with your grief or your loss. Another sign is irritability. You're not this person who the tiniest, pettiest thing makes you angry. Yeah, so irritability. Another one is persistent sleep issues. You're either oversleeping or you're having insomnia, and it's persistent, not just a one day oversleeping or a one day insomnia. It's persistent. Yeah, so that shows that there's something that you're supposed to be dealing with that you're not dealing with. It's your body unconsciously telling you that you need to deal with this grief, you need to deal with this loss. So another sign may be physical symptoms may start emerging. You may start having acne breakout, like on your face or wherever you have breakout on your body. Another physical symptom may be you may start to get sick. All of a sudden, you are well, but then suddenly you are this sick person. Yeah, so that one shows that you are not dealing with your grief. And my last sign is that you start having mental health symptoms, like mental illnesses symptoms. You start having depression or overstress or whatever that you will have. You start having illnesses, mental illnesses symptoms. Yeah, so you need to deal with your grief, you need to deal with your loss. It's so important. And now my last topic is, how do you deal with this grief? How do you deal with this loss? Number one is acknowledging your pain and remembering at the back of your mind that there is no quick fix. You have to deal with this pain. Like, suppressing your emotions will not make them go away. So suppressing them is not a fix. Binge eating is not a fix. Binge drinking is not a fix. You have to deal with your emotions, acknowledge your pain and deal with it. Like, work through it so that you can get to acceptance, so that you can get to the stage where you are okay with whatever that has happened. The second way to deal with it is that accept that grieving can trigger many different and unexpected emotions, like emotions that you didn't know you had. Like, you may start being an irritable person, and before that you were not irritable. Before that you were just a calm person, but then after whatever has happened, you're not irritable. So you have to accept that grieving may trigger many different and unexpected emotions. Number 3 is understand that your grieving process will be unique to you. Let me give an example. So let me use girls because I'm a girl. When a girl is going through a heartbreak, you tend to remember that, my girlfriend Grace also had a heartbreak. Let me go talk to her and hear how she dealt with her heartbreak so that I can deal with mine the way she dealt with hers. So that does not help you. Your process will be unique to you because you are a unique person. God created you as a unique person. You are a unique creation. So how you deal with your process does not necessarily relate with how other people dealt with theirs. How they dealt with theirs may not work for you. That is what I am trying to say, that get a way to deal with it in your own way. Yeah. So another one is seek out face-to-face support from people who care about you. You cannot lack that one friend who will give you a shoulder to lean on. You cannot lack that one person who you will cry unto, who you will share unto, and they will listen to you. They will listen to your rants, because when you're in that process of that emotional suffering, you tend to rant a lot. So you will not lack that one person who will support all your ranting, all your drama as you are grieving. Yeah, so seek out face-to-face support. Don't just lean on calls, on watching therapy videos online. Get a therapist, someone who will support you face to face. They will help you deal with your emotions face to face. Another one on how to deal with it is support yourself emotionally by taking care of yourself physically. How do you take care of yourself physically? Doing exercises, eating well, sleeping well. Yeah, so take care of yourself physically, and it will help you in taking care of yourself emotionally. And number 6 is recognize the difference between grief and depression. So when many people tend to go through overwhelming situations, they tend to think, sa nivo, mimi na depression. But it's not like that. Being that you're grieving does not necessarily mean that you're going through depression, yeah? So recognize that there is a difference between grief and depression. And if you do not know the difference, please, you can go watch my depression video. I have done a whole video on depression. I think I will put the link in the description box below. So make sure that you watch that video in case that you have not watched it, yeah? So another way on how to deal with it, and this one is very important, it has worked for me when I am grieving, is find a way to channel out your feelings. For example, you can channel out your feelings through writing a journal, and this journal, it will only be read by you. So like, write out your feelings, write out how you're feeling at that particular moment. If you start feeling overwhelmed, write down what is making you feel overwhelmed, write down those feelings. You can also take a walk, like take a long walk, channel those anger feelings in that walk, or do exercises, channel your anger in exercises, yeah? Or you can choose to channel your anger in doing good to others. That one is counteracting your anger. You're angry, but you choose to do good to other people, yeah? And as I am concluding, do not numb your pain. Allow yourself to feel that pain. Allow yourself to feel that emotional wreck, to feel that emotional suffering, even if it's in small doses. You don't necessarily now have to like let go of your pain and not tell yourself, sasa mimi kama Lynn, I want now to feel pain, yeah? No, take it in small doses. Like if you feel now you're being overwhelmed, allow yourself to feel overwhelmed for a while, for like an hour, and then decide that one is enough for today. Let me channel these overwhelmed feelings in another way, in another thing. Let me let them out in another way, yeah? Then you'll have dealt with your pain for that day. Then you can choose to deal with it from tomorrow. So even if it's in small doses, make sure that you deal with that pain so that it may not eat you out and you find yourself letting it out on other people unconsciously. When you accept to deal with your pain, you will not let it out in ways that are beyond your control. You will be able to control it. That is, if you allow yourself to deal with it. But if you do not allow yourself to deal with it, it gets out of your control. You find yourself doing things that you don't want to do because now it's eating you up, yeah? And my last point for today is add support to your pain. Choose to go for therapy, choose to take long walks, take a hot bath, go for massage, read books, whatever works for you, when you're dealing with pain, because I am sure that this will not be your first time in dealing with pain. And sadly enough, it will not be your last time because this is life, yeah? So choose a way that works for you and that will be working for you every time you are dealing with pain. So that has been it for today. I hope that this video has helped you in one way or another. And if it has, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. Also remember to subscribe to this channel. Remember, it's road to 200 subscribers. And thank you for all my subscribers so far. I love you so much. I love you. And to my new subscribers, I love you and welcome to Lynn's Corner. See you in my next video. Bye bye.